replay. But yeah, feel free to have your cameras on or off. It's absolutely fine. So if you can just stay on mute to begin with, there will be some opportunities to come off and have a chat. Catherine. Let's see if anybody else is coming in. We've got a few more people than this due to come, but it might be that they're just waiting for the replay. Life in general, Louise. It gets in the way, doesn't it? That's a good one.
Sorry, again.
Work and children, yeah, that's okay. Well, I'll just see if we've got any last few people to admit, and then we'll get started, I think. No, not at the minute, right? So we'll just leave the waiting room open anyway. I can let them in as we go along if necessary. So I think actually of the ones of you that are on, I know you all, because my opening was going to be, for those who I don't know, I just introduced myself, but I think I know all you. But I will just, for the record and for those watching on the replay, just introduce myself. So my name is Caroline Woolley, and I am the holistic practitioner and coach at the Peacock Retreat Holistic Wellbeing in North Lincolnshire. And I'm going to be talking to you today. I'm going to be sharing my top 5 tips to find more time for yourselves. Because you're already putting in the chat there that things like life in general and children and work and on and on and on always seem to get in the way, don't they, of us making time for ourselves. And actually, the reason that I wanted, oh, we've got somebody else in the waiting room. One of the reasons that I wanted to do this particular presentation was that sort of last autumn time, I seem to be having the same conversation over and over again with lots of different people. And it was very much like Groundhog Day, it felt like. And everyone was saying to me, I never seem to have enough time for myself. Maybe they'd been for a treatment with me in person. So I offer Reiki, Indian head massage, holistic facials and combinations thereof. And I do mindfulness training and sleep coaching. And they might have been for a treatment and said, I really loved it. I really want to come back, but I don't seem to be able to find the time to do that. Or it might be that they hadn't been yet and they wanted to come and do one of those things. They were really keen to, just didn't ever seem to happen. So I was thinking to myself while I'm having these chats, I think I know what you need. I think I can help you. What we need is some tips, some advice on how to find that time for ourselves, and also how to use some of the strategies that I know as a mindfulness and life coach, and use those to find some moments of peace and of time for ourselves, even on the busiest of days. So that's where this masterclass has come from this evening. So how it's going to work is in a moment. I just thought we'd start with a very quick little grounding exercise just to get us into the right place. And then I'm going to share my top 5 tips with you on how you can find more time for yourself. And then at the end, I'm just going to share with you a little bit about a new project that I'm launching, which is going to hopefully bring all of this together. And I'm going to try and wrap it up in about half an hour, because that's the whole point, isn't it? We haven't got a lot of time. I'm sure we've all had really busy days already. So I will try and keep it to the half hour if I can. If you can, say keep yourselves on mute for most of it, but there will be some opportunities for you to come off mute and have a chat during it, and there'll be a section at the end for questions and answers as well. So there won't be any presentation. I don't do that. don't do fancy PowerPoints and things like that. That's not me. I've got enough stress going on trying to work out Zoom without trying to do screen sharing and things like that as well. So it's just me talking and saying hopefully we'll all have a little bit of a chat as well. So we'll start with this really short grounding exercise as we've actually made this time. You've made this half an hour for yourself to listen to what I've got to say to you. I thought we'd take that opportunity just to really quickly do a little grounding exercise, just to show you the sort of thing that I'm going to be talking about. So I'm going to assume for this one that you're all, hi Lynn, hey, Lynn's just joined us. I'm going to assume that you're all sat on a chair, but if you are sat on the bed or on the floor or anything like that, then just adapt it to whatever part of your body is actually in contact with the ground. But if you are seated, just want you to become aware and just focus all of your attention down onto your feet. Just really connect with your feet and that sensation of them being in touch with the ground. We're just putting all our attention onto that spot and really feeling that the earth is holding and supporting us. And if you want to bring your attention up through your legs and become aware of your bottom in contact with the seat. You can close your eyes if it helps. Just becoming aware of that sensation of your bottom on the chair or the bed. And continue to follow your attention as it goes up through your body and into your shoulders. And just drop those shoulders down. Just being aware of any tension that you may be holding on to in those shoulders from the day. Just letting it all go. And finally, bringing the attention up into your head, releasing your jaw, releasing the space between your eyebrows, just letting everything release and relax. Just take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just do that twice more. And hopefully now you should feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more relaxed and ready to focus and listen to my presentation this evening. So I hope you found that helpful. So do let me know in the chat if that helped, if you're feeling more relaxed now. So now I've got you all relaxed, I'm going to get you all stressed again. What I wanted to do is just do a little role play thing where I've got here a bottle of Fizzy Pop, or other brands of Fizzy Pop are available. And I want you to imagine that this bottle of Fizzy Pop is you. And I'm going to lead you through a little scenario. Now, this might not be exactly how it goes for you, but hopefully you'll recognize in here some things from your day, and you'll be able to replace the ones that don't apply to you with some others. So imagine that it's first thing in the morning, you're laid in bed and your alarm goes off. You're in a deep sleep because you're always really tired, so it wakes you up with a bit of a fright, and that shakes our bottle. You're a bit late getting up, so everything's a bit of a rush. You head downstairs after getting dressed, you let the dog out. It's cold. They don't want to come back in. While you're waiting for them, you hear somebody else putting their bins out, and that reminds you, oh, it's bin day, I forgot to do that. That shakes your bottle a bit more. Then you finally get the bins out, you get the dog in, you get the kids ready for school, you get yourself ready for work. and you get in the car and you go to work, or you move into the dining room if you're working from home. And you're working merrily away during the morning, and obviously there's lots of emails going off and the phone's ringing, or different things are happening throughout your morning. But you're a little bit distracted because you're waiting for some news on somebody. Maybe they've got a driving test or a hospital appointment or something's happening, and you're wondering how they're getting on. So you're getting more and more stressed. And then it finally gets to lunchtime, and you quickly bolt your lunch down because you need to make a phone call because you've got a parent or a relative, somebody who's relying on you, and you know they've not been very well. So you just want to check up on them, see how they've been. So you do that at lunchtime, and then it's straight back to work. Same in the afternoon, all the emails and the work and the conversations and everything. And then it comes to home time, and you're just about to go home, and you realize that you're missing one of the ingredients you need to make tea. So you get a bit more stressed. So you get in your car, you call at the supermarket on the way home. Of course, there's no car parking space outside and it's pouring it down with rain. So you have to run across the car park into the supermarket. You get what you need, you fly back out again, you get in the car, you get home, you start cooking tea. And then maybe you've got your partner or your child that walks in while you're trying to cook the tea. And of course, all they want to do is talk about their day and how that's gone and offload onto you about their day. So you listen to them as nicely as you can. Um, and then you've got lots of other things you need to do around the house and get ready for work the next day and all those sorts of things in your evening. You finally sit down at about 9 o'clock, and basically you've been like this all day. Your bottle has been well and truly shook up. So what's going to happen now when you finally get to sit down if I take the lid off that bottle? A mess. Yeah. There's probably going to be three things that are going to happen. So you'll go to bed and you won't be able to sleep. Your brain will be so wired, there'll be loads of thoughts going through your head, and you just won't be able to switch off. Or maybe you reached that point a little bit earlier in the evening and somebody said something to you and it flipped you over the edge and you got angry with them. So basically what happens is all throughout the day, all those little stresses are flooding our body with adrenaline, with all the different stress hormones, with cortisol, and they're not releasing. They're stuck inside the bottle. So if we then take the lid off that bottle at the end of the day, then things are going to go badly for us. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Yeah. So when actually we say what we need is more time for ourselves, actually what we're meaning is we need more peace. I think that's the word for it, really. We want more chance just to gather our thoughts, to stop, to be able to not just be running from one drama to the next or from one crisis to the next, constantly working through our to-do lists. Really what we want is just a little bit of time just to stop, to take stock, and then make a plan and move forward again. So if you had more time, if it was just time that you needed, probably if we're honest, what would happen is you'd just fill that time with more doing. You'd find more stuff to do because that's just what we tend to do in our modern society, isn't it? We just keep busy all of the time. Somehow we seem to think that being busy is this thing to aspire to. When actually what we need is not more doing, but more being. We are human beings, after all, not human doings. So what we actually need is more calm, more peace, and more just being. So would you agree with that? Just let me know in the chat whether you think that's right. So although that this presentation is called So You Think You Don't Have Enough Time for Yourself, yes, Catherine definitely agrees. It is about time, but time for yourself is actually about peace and calm. Yeah, sounds about right, says Louise. Yeah, definitely. Good. I'm pleased you agree. We're in the right place. So we're going to move on now to my top 5 tips to how you can find that time for yourself, aka peace and calm. So my number one first top tip, I don't know if you're writing these down, but here you go. Is number one is know how you spend your time currently. It's really important that you actually really honest about how you spend your minutes, hours, and days. And when I say minutes, hours, and days, I really do mean minutes. So my top tip number one would be, if you can, to take a little bit of time to actually just write down for one day how you spend every minute of it, down to the nearest sort of 5, 10 minutes, because you might be surprised at where either you waste time, too much time scrolling, says Louisa. Yeah, I think we're all guilty of that, aren't we? That's another one. Yeah, that's good. I'm coming on to that. Yeah, be really specific about what it is that you're doing in that time. And then look at that list really objectively and ask yourself, actually, is there anything on there that you didn't actually need to do? Because I say we are really good at just filling our time with stuff or telling ourselves that something needs to be done and it doesn't. Apparently, according to my husband, mine's housework. I say that the housework has to be done and he says it doesn't. But we might differ on that one. But yeah, I don't feel like I can sit down and relax if I know that there's a pile of ironing waiting to be done or something like that. I don't know if anybody else is like that. Nobody seems to iron anymore. Maybe I'm just on my own with that one. But he definitely can. So there you go. Also, look at that list and see if there's anything that you could actually delegate to somebody else. Does it have to be you? Could somebody else do it? That might not always be the case. There will be some things that only you can do, or maybe only you can do to your level of acceptability. But yeah, have a think about that as well. Does it need to be done, and does it need to be done by you? And then Louise must have read my mind, because my next comment was about look at where you are maybe spending. I'm not going to say wasting time. I'm going to say spending time on things you don't need to be spending on. When are you just scrolling on Facebook? And ask yourself why you're doing that. Because quite often when we're doing things like that, things that don't really take a lot of energy or a lot of thought, it's because we are actually exhausted and it's about as much as we can manage to do. Or maybe we're procrastinating. I've been really good at that today. I've been supposed to be going through the notes for tonight and I didn't want to do it because it scares me. So I've been doing everything possible that didn't really need to be done, just so that I didn't have to face up to the fact that I actually had to get on and do it. I did, of course, do it in the end, but procrastination is a big one. We spend a lot of time either numbing, so trying to stop feeling what we're feeling, so we do something to take our mind off it, or procrastinating. So knowing your numbers is really powerful. When you look at that list, hopefully you'll be able to spot some places where you do have time. And that brings me on to my top tip number 2. So top tip number 2 is think little and often. So maybe when you saw the title of this masterclass, you thought maybe I was going to talk to you about finding an hour to go for a long soak in the bath, or to come for a treatment with me, or to go to a yoga class or something like that. That is brilliant if that's what you can do. Something that is going to help you to relax for that amount of time is really important. But we can't always find that. And we certainly can't find that every single day. So this is where I want to talk to you about finding time even on the busiest of days. So once you've got your list, you can go through it and you might be able to identify some little gaps of time in your day when you could do something for yourself. And we'll come back to what that might look like at the end. But some examples, I'll give you some examples to look for. Things like whenever you're waiting around. So if you're waiting in the queue at the post office, or you're waiting in the outside the school at school time for your child, or you're waiting for the kettle to boil. Anytime you're waiting, that is an opportunity to do something for you. On all of these little bits, it might only be a minute, it might only be 30 seconds, But if you can start to incorporate those into your day on a regular basis, they can soon add up to quite a bit. Some other times might be at the start and the end of your day. So could you get up 5 minutes earlier, go to bed 5 minutes later, and spend just those 5 minutes doing something for you? So just to give you an example, recently, I think some of you in here did do it. I did a 5-minute mindfulness challenge. And again, this was born out of those same conversations that I was having last autumn. Around people saying that they didn't have enough time for themselves. So I wanted to show that using mindfulness and having a little task to do every day for 30 days that was less than 5 minutes, you could find peace and calm and time for yourself. And it could really make a difference to how you felt about the rest of your day and your week and could really improve your well-being, even such a small amount of time. And I got some really great feedback on that. Actually, the people who managed to complete all of that really did find that that helps them. So it really can be really effective. So that's top tip number 1 is to know your numbers and how you're spending your time currently. Top tip number 2 is to think little and often. So that brings us on to number 3. Now, this one's a little bit more difficult. As we go along with these, they're going to get a little bit more tricky to do. So number 3 is to set your boundaries. And this is something that we don't find easy to do. So I think particularly as women, I think we've evolved to put everyone else's needs before our own. So we put ourselves very much at the bottom of the pecking order. Don't judge yourself. This is just perfectly normal. That's how we all are. That's just the way our brains have evolved. We're not doing any judging here or anything like that. Just acknowledging that that is the case and putting it to one side. But actually, it's not selfish to look after yourself. Self-care is not selfish. You know, you can think of self-care as like a ripple. So if you drop a stone into a pond in the middle, you get those ripples that flow out towards the edge. That's what self-care is like. So if you look after yourself and drop that self-care stone into the middle, you will be a happier, more productive, more caring, more thoughtful, more helpful person to all those other people around you, because you will be the best of you. And one of my favorite quotes that I found recently, and I absolutely love this quote, is self-care is about giving the world the best of you, not what's left of you. And I hope you find that really powerful as well. So I'll just say that again. So self-care is about giving the world the best of you, not what's left of you. So actually, by taking some time for ourselves, it actually helps us to be there for all those people that we want to be there for, all our loved ones and our friends and family. So actually, to be able to do that, sometimes we need to have that conversation with them. And this is where it can feel a little bit uncomfortable until we get used to doing it. But actually, it can be quite surprising when you start to have these conversations. If you actually tell people where you're at and that you need this time, it might feel really vulnerable and, you know, quite uncomfortable. But you might be surprised that actually you're actually giving a gift to them, because you're giving them the opportunity to do something for you. You get a lot, I'm sure, out of giving to other people. You know, that's one of the main, well, not the main reason, but one of the reasons that we do it, isn't it? Because it's about as much as what it gives to us as what it gives to them. Well, we're giving that opportunity to someone else to do something for us. And then the next one is learn to say no. That's part of setting boundaries as well. And I think we'll all agree that I certainly would, that that's a work in progress. But yeah, learning to say no can be really powerful. So that was top tip number 3, which is around setting boundaries. Are you all still with me? Just have a quick look in the chat, see if anybody's friends. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Lovely. Okay, good. Nothing there. So we're on to top tip number 4. I told you I wasn't going to keep you too long. So top tip number 4 is about scheduling you time. Make a date with yourself. So yeah, it is really good to find those little bits of time in every day that are just for you. And they are there. You just have to look for them. We did that in top tip number 2. But also it is really important, if you can, to make time for you. And the best way to do that is to actually schedule it in, literally write it in your diary. So there is a really simple time finder exercise that I do with people actually, where you sort of look at what you've got going on the following week. I do, like, you can either do it on a spreadsheet or note paper or whatever your way of working is, or in your calendar on your phone. And you have a blank week ahead for next week, and then you block out all the times that you can't spend on yourself, when you're at work or when you're at a class or when you've got childcare to do, things like that. You block all of those out and you see what time's left. And again, that can be quite surprising. And then you pick a time and you put that in your diary as your self-care time, and you make it non-negotiable. So this is your time. If that was a hospital appointment that you were putting in, that would be non-negotiable. You would go to that appointment, whatever happened. And that's the kind of attitude we need to bring to this self-care. This is about you and your well-being and about your health. So if somebody needs to know that that's your time, even if it's just that you're going to go into your bedroom and shut the door and read a book, you're not actually going anywhere else, you're just staying at home, but you just want that half an hour of peace, tell the people who share your household with you that that's what's happening, and they're not to come and knock on the door. Not always easy, I know, when you've got little ones and things like that. But yeah, if you can, schedule that time with yourself, make a date with yourself. So we've done 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're on to tip number 5 already. So hopefully you're finding these helpful. Now, tip number 5 is most definitely the most tricky to get right, but it's also the most powerful. So number 5 is about knowing your why. It's really important to connect with why you need that time for yourself. So if you can, spend a little bit of time when you have got 5 minutes to yourself and you've got some peace and quiet, just really trying to feel and connect with what a difference that having that time for you would make. Really try and visualize, if you're a visualization kind of person, really kind of visualize, what would that look like? How would you be? How would you be talking to people? How would you look? How would it feel? If you can connect to how that would make you feel, that's really powerful, because that's going to drive you on then to actually do the other actions and find that time. And not only what difference would it make to you, but what potentially difference could it make to those people around you? So just think about that bottle that I showed you at the beginning, and how you would feel if you were that bottle that was going to explode if I took the lid off. How would it feel not to be in that state? What difference would that make to you? Now, there is, we're not going to do it tonight because we haven't got time, but there is a really powerful mindfulness exercise that we can do to visualize this, which is really good for helping you to connect and really see it and feel it. And once you know what your why is, then it will become like that hospital appointment, and you will make it non-negotiable. So they're my top 5 tips. So we had number 1, which was to know your numbers and know how you're spending your time now. Number 2 was about thinking little and often and finding little bits of time throughout the day. Number 3 was about setting boundaries. Number 4 was scheduling time and making a date with yourself. And then number 5, the most important one, is about knowing your why and really connecting with what difference that would make to you. Right, so does anybody want to come off mute and tell me if they've had any sort of light bulb moments or insights or anything that they found particularly of interest, or pop it in the chat. That's fine too.
Hi, Caroline.
Hello, hiya.
Hello. I think the scheduling you time, that's the big, because I fill my calendar with all sorts of things throughout the day, and I'm really disciplined at doing it at work, but when it comes to after work and time for you, I don't do that at all. So booking when Sainsbury's are coming, delivering the shopping, and all of that's booked in, but nothing else.
Nothing
And
for you. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And you do then sit down, look at the ironing pile, look at the washing, think, oh, I'll just get up and do that, and then before you know it, it's bedtime. So yeah, so I think that's the thing for me. That's the thing that I'm gonna I mean, it's not gonna take it all away, but that's really
Good.
yeah,
Good.
give
I'm pleased you found something useful. Yeah, and I think it goes back to what I was saying before, doesn't it, about the fact that oh, Louisa's had to leave us, that's fine. It goes back to what we've had to, well, I said earlier about how we always put ourselves down the pecking order, don't we? We put everybody and everything else first. So I think it's much more easy to schedule that time for yourself once you've really got a handle on what difference it's going to make to you. So that's brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So I'll just cover a little bit about what you could fill that time with, give you some ideas if you've managed to made some time. Was somebody else trying to say something there? Sorry. Or was it just not on mute?
I was just not on mute.
Just not on mute. That's fine. Just didn't want to miss anybody if they did. So yeah, it depends on how much time you've actually managed to find for yourself. Obviously, if you can find half an hour or an hour, that's brilliant. If you can, then go off to a yoga class or come for a Reiki session or whatever it is that that flicks your switch, that makes you relax. Then even just going for a walk, that can be really, really, really beneficial. But anything that's going to bring those stress levels down, and this is where I like to work, it's in those little moments. So anything that you can do so that your bottle doesn't get to that point where it's going to explode at the end of the day. Because actually what happens if it does explode is that you end up then with flat cola, don't you? And that means you're overwhelmed, you're exhausted, you're burnt out, and that's definitely what we don't want. We don't want a flat, burnt out you. So it's really important to start building in some little exercises, little things that you can do throughout the day to just bring those levels down. So they might get shaken a little bit, but you can bring that level back down so it never gets to that point of going to explode. And that's what I was trying to teach in the 5-minute mindfulness challenge. There was lots of different exercises that we did in there. We did a whole variety of different mindfulness based exercises that you can literally do anywhere, anytime. Some of them were a little bit more, you had to be in a specific place or time to do them, but most of them you could do anytime, any place, and nobody even needed to know you were doing them some of the time either. So really good to have even when you're in the middle of a difficult conversation at work or something. So yeah, breathing exercises, something like the little grounding exercise that we did at the beginning, anything like that is really going to help. But even little simple things as well, like anything that brings a little bit more positivity and joy into your everyday. So it really might be as simple as like putting your favorite perfume on just to go to work, because it's going to make you smile. And that's going to release endorphins and the positive hormones, and they're going to counteract the stress hormones. Or it might be putting together a playlist that you put on in the car or in the kitchen while you're peeling the veg that's of lots of happy songs. So there's really quite a few simple little things that you can do just to bring those stress levels down every day and bring that bottle back into alignment. So I don't know how you're feeling now, whether you feel like you'd be confident to go off on your own and have a go at some of those top tips that I've given you. Or do you think you might think, oh yeah, that was really nice, that was good, yeah, there's some good advice there, and then go away and you'll go and make a cuppa and you'll have forgotten about it by tomorrow morning? Because quite often we do that, don't we? We go to different presentations and things and we get some really good information and then we don't actually do the key bit, which is putting it into action. So do you feel confident that you could go away and do that on your own? Or do you think you might be at risk of just going back to how you were before and forgetting everything I've just told you? You can be honest about this. You
Well,
don't have
I think I can do it.
Yeah.
I've just been actually while I've been talking, I've been thinking about doing what can you fill your time with, like playlists and things like that. Well, I spend 90% of my day in my car on my own, so I can actually, when I set off, get to my delivery, just sit for 2 minutes, and just do some breathing, and I can have my playlist on in the car all the time.
Yeah.
So it's little bits of little things, and then especially when somebody's wound me up as I've gone out the door, then I can take that fizz out.
Yes, that's what it's about, isn't it? It's not about not letting it fizz over.
Yeah, it can do if you're not careful. You can go up the road muttering,
yes,
and it's not good.
Yeah. And then what happens is that we start having one thought, and then automatically that one thought leads on to another thought. And before you know it, you've gone down this really well-worn path of negative
And by
patterns
the
of
time you get home at
thinking.
night, all you want to do is just curl up and go to bed.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So so it's really good that you've started there to identify some times where actually you can make that decision to stop, and that's what it's about. It's about taking back that control, isn't it? We feel like sometimes that life governs us. We have to go at life speed, but actually we can make a conscious effort to take a step back and stop and pause, and the world will not collapse while we do. It will still keep spinning. But then we can get back on again when we're feeling more up to it. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Lynn. That's great. Yeah. So that's really good that Lynn feels like she could go away, but I hope we can agree, because we're all here, you've all come to this masterclass, that we'd like to find that more time for ourselves. That's why you're here. So you would maybe like to learn how to do some of these things, but you don't want it to take more time, because that's what we haven't got enough of already. And you want to be able to do it in somewhere that is on your terms. So if you can't get out and get to a class or something like that, it would be really good, wouldn't it, to have something that you can access whenever happens to be a good time for you, because it'll be different for everybody. It'll be different to whether you've got young children or not, and what your work schedule is. We can't all be. We've all managed to be here at 7:30 on a Thursday night for half an hour, but that's not always possible, is it? And you can see even by the number of people that signed up to this and then have not made it live, they will get replay. It's not always possible. Life gets in the way. So it would be really helpful, I think, and I hope you agree, to have something that you can dip into and use whatever's a good time for you. So I might have a solution for you. And this is where we come on to the new project that I wanted to also let you know about. And this is brand new tonight. You were going to be the first people to hear about this. This is the big premiere launch. So I'd like to introduce you to my Peacock Retreat. So the Peacock Retreat is my holistic treatment and coaching business, but I am introducing my Peacock Retreat, and it should really be your Peacock Retreat. It's not mine, it's yours, but you can call it my Peacock Retreat. And basically, my Peacock Retreat is your haven, your place to go when you need some of this tips and advice or exercises or little things to do in your own time. So that's why I called it that. It's your retreat from life. And it's a group coaching and mindfulness membership. So it will have coaching in there. You'll get access to me for coaching. So it's built, though, particularly to be flexible around your busy schedules. And you have the opportunity within this membership to work alone. If you're the sort of person that prefers to just get on and work on your own, to take the advice or the tips and go away and work, you can do that. But if you're somebody who needs that connection of a community, of a group of people who are all working towards the same goal and want to encourage each other on, then there will be a group element that you can opt into as well. If you think about, like Swimming World Weight Watchers type classes, people tend to say that they tend to lose more weight if they do those classes because you've got that accountability. You're not doing it on your own.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I've built into my Peacock retreat. So if you're not the sort of person who likes that, you can do it on your own. And I'm always there for support if you just need that one-to-one support, or if you prefer to have that sort of community connection and that accountability from being in a group, then that's in there as well. So you want to know, what do you actually get? What is the membership? So anyone who signs up to the membership will automatically get access to some pages on my website that are only available to members. And there will also be a private members Facebook group, and all the action will happen in those two places. So there will be a monthly masterclass on Zoom like this, but hopefully where we'll all be able to chat more and talk, and we'll do some exercises, and we'll actually do some of the tasks, some of the ones like the ones I mentioned earlier, when in the top tips, they're writing your list of what you do each day, looking at what you can delegate and what doesn't need to be done, things like that, the time finder exercise, all of those things we can do together in a masterclass. And that will be recorded. So if you can't make it live, it will be recorded and saved within the members area pages. So you'll be able to access that whenever you can, whenever that suits you. So you won't miss out on anything. But if you do come along to the group session, then you'll have your opportunity to ask me questions direct, and we can work through any problems or challenges with that together. There is also on the members area, there's a mindfulness zone. And in there, you'll have access to a growing library of guided meditations that I've done. So already in there, say, ready for the first people to get in, are the whole 30 days of the 5-minute mindfulness challenge. So you will get access to that, and that is worth £30 on its own to have access to that. So that is in there for anybody who joins the membership for free. And I'll be adding more guided meditations as we go along as well. So that will be a growing library of things. And then in the Facebook group, I'll be going live in there twice a week. So I'll be doing a weekly little mindfulness exercise to help you build a daily mindfulness practice. And I'll be doing that earlier in the week, and then you'll be able to practice that all week. I'll also be going live once a week in there with some coaching. So we might be that I talk about one of those tasks and go into a bit more details about how to do it. I've sort of told you what it's a good thing to do, but sometimes when you actually sit down to actually do it, you think, I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to be actually doing this. So that's the sort of level of detail that I'll be going to. And again, because they're Facebook lives, they will be saved in that Facebook group. So if you can't make it live, because I'll probably do them in the morning, you'll be able to watch them at whatever point in the day suits you, and they will stay in the group. So they will always be there. So if life gets in the way and that this week's been crazy and I just haven't managed it, it doesn't matter, because next week they'll still be there and you'll be able to access them whenever. And if maybe one thing at the time you have a go at it and yeah, it's good, but it's not what you need right then, but then in a few weeks' time something happens and you think, oh, I could really do to go back and do that again, all of it's going to be stored, whether it be in the members area with the recordings or whether it's going to be in the Facebook group, so you'll always have access to them. So that's the mindfulness zone and the Facebook group. And of course, in that Facebook group as well, it means that you're going to be able to encourage each other. You'll be able to ask me any questions, and we'll be able to work through all of that together. You'll also, as a founding member of the membership, you're going to have an opportunity to help me to shape it. Through my conversations with people, have come up with the idea that this first month we're very much going to look at those top tips that I've gone into today about how to find more time and go into that in more detail. I'm thinking that April is Stress Awareness Month, so it would be good to do some work around stress, because we all experience stress at different levels, so we can go into some work on that. But then after that, really, it's a blank canvas, because I want to know from you what's challenging you right now. What's affecting your well-being? What do you need help with? Is it being kinder to yourself? Is it about stopping negative thinking? it could be, is it sleep? You know, it can be there's so many different things it could be. And I could put together a program of what I want to talk about. That's not a problem. But what I want is I want you as founding members to tell me what you will want to see after that.
Okay.
So that's how it's going to sort of start. So you say you are the first people to hear about this. So what you probably want to know now is actually how much is this going to cost? So as well as wanting to make this really accessible and sustainable and achievable for people on a time, from a time perspective, I wanted to make it really cost effective for people as well, because I know we're all kind of holding the purse strings a bit tighter, aren't we, at the minute? So I've got a special deal for you guys tonight. Anybody who signs up to the membership before midnight on the 28th of February, it will only be £20 a month. And that will not go up. That will stay for as long as you remain a member. Now, after the 28th, it is going up to £25 a month. So you've already got a £5 a month saving there if you sign up before midnight on the 28th. And so that won't change. It won't go up for you. It will always stay the same. There is an option to pay in full for the year as well, where you get 2 months free. And then as an extra bonus, the first 5 people that sign up, and I say you guys are the first to hear about this, and the first 5 people that sign up to join the membership will get a bonus 30-minute one-to-one coaching session with me to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Whether you want to look at how to start doing mindfulness, or if you've got any questions about it, or you've got something else entirely, you'll have 30 minutes with me, either in person if you're local, or on Zoom or on a phone call to have a chat about that. So that, again, that's the first 5 people to sign up. And obviously quite a few people are going to be getting the replay on this tomorrow as well. So if you are interested, you will get an email. What time is it? Has it gone out already? Yeah, you should have already got it. They should have an email if you'd signed up by email, with a link to the membership page where you can read more about it and you can sign up. But the web address, if you want to write it down, it is www.thepeacockretreat.co.uk/membership. So does anybody have any questions? I know I have kept you longer than I said, haven't I? I'm really sorry.
Nothing else to do.
Has anybody got any questions that they want to ask me about anything that we've talked about tonight?
It's
You can
been
come
really
off.
useful, really useful.
Yeah, good, Catherine.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody?
Give something to think about. Definitely give something to think about.
Oh, I'm hoping what it's done is it made it more achievable, because sometimes we set ourselves these really big goals and people think, oh, I need to find an hour and go and do something. And that's not going to happen.
Little goals to get to big ones.
Yeah, it's about the little goals.
Yeah.
And marginal gains can make a huge difference. Now just have a look. No, nobody's put anything in the comments. Okay. Well, I shall leave you there then, as we've gone over as well. Thank you for coming. It's been really nice to have some familiar faces. And I will see you all soon. If you've got any questions, you can always, if you're able to contact me, and so you will get more information come out on email over the next few days as well. But if you've got any questions about the membership or anything else, or you want to look at some more one-to-one bespoke type coaching as well, then just contact me.
Brilliant. Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome.
Thanks very
And
much.
have a good evening. See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.